The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
If it hadn't been for you, I would be now in someone else's digestion.
You know there's something you should know, so I'm gonna tell you so.
It's Bad Movie Month on the Cellcast.
Don't sweat it, forget it, enjoy the show.
Working all day, now it's time to unwind. Kick back, relax, take a load off your mind. I'll be busting the moves and I'll be busting the rhymes. We'll be busting up laughing cause it's party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time. Party time, party time. Everybody's feeling fine cause it's party time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who has thankfully not been turned into a karate chopping kangaroo. Welcome, Jacob.
Why, thank you. Thankfully, this time being a transformer to something indeed.
He says you're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, brother, if I hear one more thing about Chi in the inner universe, I might scream. Welcome, Drake.
Obviously, you've not watched enough of Dragon Ball Z. That's what they talk about all the stinking time on that show. They're not taking 5 minutes to charge, 50 minutes to charge up and attack.
Yeah.
Also joining us tonight, we have from the Rushmore Show. I don't even have a good pun. I apologize. Welcome, Andy.
That pun works well enough. I'm usually full of them too. Sometimes my name is a joke enough. So there you go.
Well, I mean, it's kind of bad enough that Drew is introducing Andy. So
True. Neither of us want to go by Andrew. So
why would we do that?
Why would that happen? Anyway,
exactly.
Excited to be on the show, man.
Yeah, Jacob.
And let me introduce our other special guest, a man who has the most righteous beard ever. Welcome, Kirk.
I like that mine was more righteous than Andy's.
Mine wasn't even mentioned.
It's nice and fluffy.
It might be easier to make out on our screen because for whatever reason, y'all are kind of shrunk over there on the other side of the room.
Oh,
See if I can make that bigger.
There we go.
All right.
Trying to make my
so yeah, it is.
I'll take the compliment.
Right. Of course, y'all remember it is Bad Movie Month, as painfully obvious as that opening was. I love how Jacob forgot I had a special opening for this.
Oh no, I did not forget. It was more like I was because the first last week he did it, threw me off, and this time I'm listening to it. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so hilarious! It's so hilariously stupid. It's funny,
and we didn't bother to tell our guests what was happening.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, I listened to last week, so there you go.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
I listened to portions of it. If you remember, I logged in while you were doing that.
Indeed,
so
I do remember seeing you in the chat.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So yeah, we are reviewing. I just realized there was a slight mess up in our intro because you didn't say plus.
Oh yeah,
but that's
plus.
Fine. Yeah, I'll just edit that back there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll work that out.
So yeah, we are reviewing a live action film tonight with our good friends, Warriors of Virtue, or as I am starting to call it, Mighty Morphin Ranger Roos. That's basically what it is.
Absolutely.
And so why don't we go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section and we'll get into this.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
So, Andy, I think you're the one who suggested this film?
Sorry about that, but yes.
Why don't you go ahead and start us off with your thoughts, your spoiler-free thoughts on this?
So I mentioned it. You guys were, we were blessed to have you guys on our show a while back, and we got talking about it. And this is just a movie that is almost, I thought was like a Mandela effect thing. Like, did this movie really happen, or did I make it up in my mind? And I wish I did after watching it. But there's a lot of nostalgia that's poured into this movie, man. So I had high hopes for it. Again, watching it again. So But you know, hey, it's a great one, man. I've got him hanging out behind me right here, and my screen's mirrored, so I got to figure out how do I work my hands. But anyway,
right.
This is just a great movie. It's a classic. You know, we'll be telling about the story of this. It's like this generation's Citizen Kane. Probably not. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. It's not. But
maybe The Room.
A movie I keep hearing about over and over again, never watch.
We're never putting it on this show either.
Okay, good deal. Unless one of our guests wants us to review it.
Somehow,
in that instance, there will be much discussion. I'm sorry, what was that, Andy?
I said, and somehow Warriors of Virtue made it on your show. So
there's less cursing and less sex scenes.
True.
There's less. Anyway.
Yes, far less.
Yeah.
So, Kirk, what are your spoiler-free thoughts on this?
Well, it's exactly what I thought it was. And when we said, hey, this movie, and you guys had not really heard of it, the first thing I said was, take Power Rangers, throw it into a fantasy world, and make them kangaroos. So that is kind of what it is. But you guys are bashing it, and I enjoyed it. So we will get to talk. But yeah, I really liked it.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, this is my first viewing. I had only what Kirk and Andy had told me about this going into it to base on. And I'll say it started off kind of like your standard kids are the heroes film until we got to Tao. And then it's just like it went off the rails where if you wondered if you were even in the same county as the rails.
Our pair.
So yeah, this movie's a trip. This is definitely a movie you should watch with like a bunch of people so you can all laugh and make fun of it at the same time.
And there again, if you have nostalgia for it, you love this film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Jacob and I were on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie for Retro Rewind.
Yes.
Like I reviewed it twice that year.
You did.
So we all have our nostalgia.
Yes.
Jacob, what are your thoughts?
And I'll say this movie is not nostalgic for me. Just throwing that in there because this movie came out my freshman year of college. So yeah, it wasn't something that was a childhood thing, but there are some things that we'll jump into and talk about. But yeah, I understand why people would. I've heard Fever Dream a few times. I've heard just kind of out of this world. But yeah, it's a fun movie. I'll just leave it there.
All right.
All righty.
Jacob, what are your spoiler-free thoughts?
My spoiler-free thoughts on this film, I'd be like, first thing, I'd heard about this film like in the late 90s when this came out, and I saw like, promos for it or whatever. Is like, this looks weird. And this is around, when did Power Rangers movie come out?
95,
so 2 years later. So be like, and when I heard it's, we're doing this film for the podcast, and I was like, okay, let me go find it. It's on Tubi. And it was like, okay, this was interesting. I would definitely say there was a lot of like high ambitions for this film.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed parts of it. There are other parts I'm like, whoa, just pull Keanu Reeves. It's like, whoa, what's going on here? But it's interesting, but at the same time, it is so bizarre. And in some ways, it's good. In other ways, it's not so good. So yeah.
All right. So I guess that takes care of us for the spoiler-free section. Let's go ahead and jump into our full spoiler-filled review for Warriors of Virtue. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Warriors of Virtue. Listener discretion is advised. Warriors of Virtue was directed by Ronnie Yu, who also directed Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, okay.
Somehow that, even though I've never watched Freddy vs. Jason, this explains a lot.
Well,
There's
Freddy
a lot
vs.
of
Jason wasn't really
parallels.
that bad of a film.
There's a lot of correlation.
There's a lot of parallels between the two.
Which
Yeah, I
makes
can
me
see that.
want to watch Freddy vs. Jason to see how off the rails that is.
Well, it's
It's,
Freddy versus Jason.
Well, Freddy versus Jason's probably one of the better ones out of all of it.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. It was also written by Michael Vickerman and Hugh Kelly and based on characters created by Kenneth K. Law, Ron Law, Chris Law, and Jeremy Law.
Yeah.
Saban.
All four Laws.
Yeah.
It's not really Saban because that would be Haim Saban and Shuki Levy. but
I'm joking.
I'm guessing that's the four brothers that the logo was at the beginning.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Getting into the cast. Oh yeah. Getting into the cast, we've got Mario Yedida as Ryan Jeffers. And in the movie Jack, he played a character named George. I have no idea. Angus McFadden played Komodo, and he was Robert the Bruce in Braveheart.
Oh, nice.
Marley Shelton played Elysia, and she played Dr. Kelly Atkins in Rampage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the rock, that rock movie.
Yes.
That rock movie.
That rock movie.
That rock movie.
Based
That's
on an
the
old
subtitle.
arcade game.
Yes.
It's Rampage.
Oh, the video game
That
was
rock
amazing.
movie.
Yes. There's words you don't hear out of Jacob that often. The video game was amazing.
Okay, so just for
I
context
agree.
here, like
Because you don't play video games a lot.
I don't really play video games, but when I was a kid, my grandfather would do like yard sales and flea markets the whole bit, and he just picked up these big lots of things, and so we just grab through them. My brother Jim grabbed this Rampage game. I was like, oh wow, and like it's so much. To me, it's so much fun. It was just
Rampage is a fun game.
It is a fun game.
It's on my Rushmore of arcade
Ooh,
games.
sure.
We did this. We did a Rushmore forever, and I got a lot of flack for it. So I'm glad I got some support from the Cellcast.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nostalgic game.
Yeah,
but,
Indeed.
Yeah.
That's your code word for you hate it.
I'm just using our fellow brethren of the culture box's words.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Chow Lee Chi played Master Chung. And in Big Trouble in Little China, he played Uncle Chu. Michael J. Anderson played Mudlap. And in the television series Twin Peaks, he played Man from Another Place.
Oh, okay.
And he was in 4 episodes of that. And he showed up in the sequel that HBO did.
Huh.
So I'm guessing that's a major character.
I guess so.
Person from another place.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm the same way, Kirk. I have no idea what they're talking about.
Tom Towles played General Grillo, and he was Harry Cooper in Night of the Living Dead.
Oh.
Lee Ehrenberg played Mantos, and in Pirates of the Caribbean, the original 3 movies, the good ones,
Okay.
he played Pintle. That is the slightly balding pirate that hangs out with the one that's missing an eye.
Missing an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, okay.
Dennis.
Parlay.
Yeah, Parlay. Dennis Dunn played Ming, and in Big Trouble in Little China, he played Wang Chi.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Tate was the performer for Yoon, and he's the guy in the suit, and he played George in the television series Dinosaurs.
Oh.
Nice.
That was a show I didn't like so much because I just didn't like little kids at the time. So mom was like, "Oh my gosh!"
That's not about not liking kids. That's about not liking that chewed up ball of gum. I'm the baby, gotta love me.
Oh my, you're not kidding. Oh my god, so irritating.
Doug Jones.
TGIF, man.
Oh yeah, TGIF.
Oh yeah.
Doug Jones was the performer for Yee, and he was Billy Butcherson in Hocus Pocus, the zombie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He actually goes on to play a character in Star Trek named Saru.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
He's a very well-known,
He's a very tall
actor.
Uh,
Some very iconic characters.
Don W. Lewis was the performer for Lie, and they played a mime in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yep.
Movie I've never seen before, but I need to watch it.
Oh,
Jay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a good film, actually.
That's
That's
a very
a
good
comedy I suggest
That's
for
a
you.
fantastic movie.
Oh yeah. J. Todd Adams was the performer for Chi, and he was the narrator for the audiobook version of Fight Club.
Really?
Yeah. That is the
Don't you guys
only
remember
time
that?
I've ever run into an audiobook on IMDb.
That's
is
the first thing I picked up when I saw his character on Warriors of Versus.
Especially
Wait a
since
minute.
we never heard his voice, because these are just the suit actors.
Yeah.
Lastly, Adrian Corcoran was the performer for Soon, and she played Katie in Seventh Heaven. Mina was the voice for Master Chung, and he played the Coptic cleric in the Chronicles of Riddick. Scott McNeil was the voice of Yun, and he is the original English voice for Piccolo in the Ocean Group dub of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah.
Among many other characters, but
Yes.
Piccolo's the one everyone will recognize. Doug Parker was the voice of both Yi and Chi, and he was the original voice for Mega Man and Captain N the Game Master.
Oh,
Let's go. Sold.
Dale Wilson was the voice for Lai, and he played Akuma in Street Fighter the animated series.
Nice.
And Kathleen Barr was the voice of Sun, and she played Dot Matrix in the television series Reboot.
Nice.
Okay, so who wants to guess how many Kingdom Hearts connections there were?
I'm going to say 3.
Any other guesses?
Gentlemen?
I'm not an RPG guy, so 4. I don't know.
All right. Well, I'll take the 5.
Oh, you didn't price
Y'all
it
are
right.
all way off.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is absolutely zilch.
Dang it, you should have gone price.
Which actually
is right.
surprised
I
me with
almost
this
took.
one.
I almost took the 2. I almost.
It actually surprised me with this one because there are actually a lot of.
I figured my
lot of
odds were
well-known actors in
better
this.
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The field is bigger.
All right.
You did
So
forget
Jacob,
one.
what do we got in sorry,
you
what?
forgot one famous actor in this movie. For any football fans, Warren Moon was the football coach right in the beginning of the
Oh,
movie.
yes,
From the
yes,
Houston
yes.
Oilers. And
Let's
he makes
go.
that stupid line, "Hey, I've played a few games before." And it's just
I played a few
it's
games,
the silliest scene. Anyway,
dude. You're taking one of my favorite things of this movie.
forget
Hush.
everything I just said. Forget everything I just. That's like 4 seconds
Yeah,
of
that
the
was
movie.
that was probably the most
Yeah,
biggest
yeah,
surprise
I mean-
of this film that Warren Moon was in it. I was like, wait, that's Warren Moon, right? I'm not.
Where
This
was
is
he
my
at in
eyes are not deceiving me,
97?
right?
What was he doing in '97? He I don't know. Anyway,
I have no idea because I've never heard of this man before.
Oh wow,
Dude, I don't watch football.
I know, but Warren Moon from the Houston Oilers.
Houston Oilers.
And
the
your point?
Chiefs and the
Guess what?
Seahawks.
I don't know anybody else on the Houston Oilers.
Okay then, fair enough.
It was a long time ago.
I'm not, no complaints. Y'all enjoy it. That's y'all's thing. I have no idea who this is. Okay. But that's fine. Jacob, what do we have in info and stuff?
All right, info and stuff. We have an IMDb score of 4.7 out of 10. It's available to watch on Tubi and most free streaming platforms. Production was by China Films Co-Production Cooperation, Law Brothers Entertainment, distribution by MGM Distribution Company here in the United States. Its release date was on May 2nd, 1997. Had a going into box office, it had a budget of $35 million. Its opening weekend was $3.2 million on May 4th, 1994. Its U.S. gross, this thing came under bad. $6.5 million for its U.S. gross, and its international was 6.5. Yeah, this movie tanked badly. So, in home release, the movie didn't do as well. The film did not much do better when it hit video, earning only $7.69 million from the date of its release in 1997 through mid-December of that year. Sequel. There actually is a sequel to this thing.
Yes,
Believe it or don't.
Yeah. So I was like pleasantly surprised. I was like, what the like there again be like some people it's just more it's okay, this is a great film, or it'd be like maybe it was more like the fandom behind it wanted another one. But yeah, second film, Wars of Virtue, The Return to Tao, was released on October 22nd, 2002. And that's all I have for info and stuff.
Now, I may be wrong real quick, but I think the second one doesn't have kangaroos. I think it's actual people.
That kind of takes the fun out of it.
I think I read the plot. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but the premise is that that the two, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on their names? The two boys. Anyway, they've become like kung fu masters, and they're going to become the warriors of virtue. It seems stupid. They got all new actors and everything, and I think it was
the actual warriors of virtue look like people.
What
and
world?
Yeah, and they actually look like funny people, to be honest. But anyways,
funny people.
Yeah, I mean, like it's the worst costumes I've ever seen for fire, metal, wood. It's pretty bad.
All right.
I mean, it's pretty awful. I mean,
what is happening?
That is bad.
Yeah.
It's like they ordered.
Let me show you water and earth.
Warriors of Virtue on Wish.
Wait, what? Look at the water one.
That's Warriors of Virtue off Tenmu.
Yeah, Timu. Only $2.99.
Timu. Warriors of Virtue.
That's a steal. All right, we ready for the summary?
Yeah, let's go to the summary.
All right. Middle school student Ryan Jeffers suffers a disability to his leg, preventing him from trying out for sports and fitting in. He's also 12 and trying to play for high school football, which I think is the issue here. It's what it looked like anyway.
A little bit.
He is currently the water boy of his school's football team and has a crush on quarterback Brad's girlfriend. He often seeks escape through comic books and dreams of adventure, hiding the depression of his disability from his mother. One day, the owner of his favorite restaurant, his friend Ming, gives him a manuscript of Tao, representing the 5 elements: earth, fire, water, wood, and metal. He advises Ryan to live his life no matter his physical limits. That night, Ryan and his best friend Chucky are approached by Brad and his friends, who suggest an initiation for their group, leading them to a water plant. Ryan is told he needs to cross a narrow pipe to sign his name on a wall of graffiti. Ignoring Chucky's protests, Ryan attempts to cross, but a water pipe opens up and throws Ryan into the water. Ryan wakes up in a strange forest and is attacked by assailants who are drawn off by a creature from the lake. As he escapes, he realizes his leg works. He meets a dwarf-like man named Mudlap before a beautiful girl named Elysia drives him off. She tells Ryan that he is in Tao. Ryan tells her about the manuscript, which had been lost with his backpack. Believing it to be the manuscript of legend, Elysia takes Ryan to Master Chung, and he meets 4 of the 5 warriors, anthropomorphic kangaroos, each representing an element. Lai, the warrior of wood; Chi, the warrior of fire; Sun, the warrior of earth; and Yi, the warrior of metal. He is told that Yun, the warrior of water, has left them following an earlier conflict, and that the manuscript would be sought by Komodo, a warlord who betrayed the warriors and is stealing from the life springs of Tao to stay young forever. He is captured by Komodo's henchmen Mantos, Barbarocious, and Dullard, who is saved by Yun, but is saved by Yun. Ryan convinces Yun to return to the life spring. Ryan flees, wanting to return home, but Mudlap leads him into General Grillo's arms, and he is saved by Chung, Yun, Yi, and Chi. They go after the manuscript and fall into a trap after being betrayed by Elysia, who joined Komodo as vengeance against Yun for killing her brother by accident. They are nearly killed in a trap, but narrowly escape using their skills, and they return to the life string to prevent Komodo from ambushing the others. Komodo fights Chung and ultimately kills him, then makes off with Ryan. When Ryan awakens at Komodo's palace, Elysia begs him to read from the book so that Komodo could possibly invade his world for more life springs. Ryan realizes he can't read the book, and this upsets Komodo, who tries to strike Ryan down. Elysia interferes and is struck down by Barbarocious. Komodo kills Barbarocious in a rage, and Ryan escapes. Komodo returns to the life spring and challenges the warriors to one-on-one combat, splitting into 5 versions of himself. He taunts and defeats the warriors, while Ryan, after getting an apology from Mudlap for his betrayal, finds an inscription in the manuscript. Ryan tricks Komodo into overusing his power, weakening him so that the warriors can purify his spirit, reforming him into a kind man and purifying his army. Ryan, mortally wounded, is surrounded by his friends, and Yi astonishes his comrades by thanking Ryan, speaking for the first time in years. Suddenly, Ryan is back at the water plant before crossing the pipe. Realizing his desperation to fit in led to the accident, this time he refuses to cross it. The water pipe opens like it did before, trapping Brad on the other side. His insults to his friends only prompt them to leave him behind for the police to find. That night, Ryan apologizes to his mother for an earlier argument, and when he goes to bed, he offers to tell his dog about Tao. What is the dog going to do in Tao? That's what I want to know.
Is he in the sequel?
I don't know.
Do we see him again? Now I got to go watch it. Unfortunately.
I only have one piece of trivia for this film. Ryan quotes 2 movies, both of which starred Tom Hanks. He says, Houston, we have a problem from Apollo 13. And crap happens. I kind of messed with that one. From Forrest Gump, 1994. So, yeah. We need to get into our dislikes. Who wants to go first?
Dislikes?
Our likes. I jumped ahead.
Yeah, you did.
Likes. We want likes. Who wants to go first on this?
I'll go. So again, bringing this up, I have a fond memory. I said, well, maybe fond's the wrong word. I have a memory of it. Let's just leave it at that. And I remember, like, I even had the toys. They had a toy line. I think that was really the premise of this movie was, hey, let's sell these toys. But I like, I like the idea behind the movie. I think, I mean, growing up as a Rangers guy, as a kid, and just loving like all of this kind of stuff and warriors and kung fu and just, it's cool, right? Again, I got to think, like, in 1997, I was 8 years old when this came out, so this is like super cool, right? I like the idea, I like the concept, and I'll talk a little bit about the other side of that when we get to some dislikes, but overall, just the concept, the idea behind it, I enjoyed that.
Kirk?
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. That's one of the ones that I would have had, but to give one on the side of that is the kangaroos in itself. The idea of this is a unique concept, and after this, I remember there being quite a bit of different other things that kind of were trying to utilize some kangaroos, but they were, 1997. You're coming off Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, Tiger Shark, Silverhawks, everything else in the blue, and they decided to try and go with kangaroos. I thought the idea was cool. Using the kangaroo style where they can jump and fight, which kangaroos generally are considered kind of pretty fierce animals. That's just a cool idea to me. It does tend to lead into some of my dislikes. But if I'm going out there and telling you, this is right in my wheelhouse. In 1990s, this is the kind of stuff I love. So I that's the biggest like that I had for it, was just the whole concept, the whole idea, and this idea of anthropomorphic animals was really high back in the late 80s, early 90s. And it probably ran its course by 97, to be honest. So, but there you go.
Jacob?
I'm in the same boat as our guest. It's like the concept of this movie is amazing. It has like such a broad perspective of what it's trying to do. I think the execution's a little bit weak, but it's broad concept and what it's trying to do with character design and all this great stuff. Like, it is a wonderful idea. I think some of the execution is done not very poorly in some cases, other than not, but overall, be like the concept. I love it because there again, a wee lad in the 80s, a child in the 90s, and be like, you grew up with this stuff, and it's just a natural progression into it. And I enjoy that for what this film does and it's trying to do. It's broad attempt to make something unique and different. And I find that the general concept is good. It's very, very good. And I to expound upon that, I really wish they could have like maybe had a bigger budget or what have you, and seen what they really could have done with this.
Yeah.
As most bad movies are, it kind of feel like you ran out of money.
Yeah, agreed.
And just like there's both. I mean, that's usually why movies kind of fall into the cellar. People go watch it and there's just holes and there's just things missing. And I think that's kind of how I felt watching it. Like, man, what a great idea, but it fell flat.
Yeah.
You usually either ran out of money or it's a quick cash grab, and this is not a quick cash grab.
No.
They were legitimately trying to make a good movie, a big movie out of this, a big blockbuster, I think.
Right, for sure.
But because my
Part
first
2 looks like the cash grab.
do what?
The part 2 version looks maybe.
Oh,
like
that probably
okay.
is a cash
Oh,
grab
yeah,
because this
definitely.
probably made just enough money for a sequel.
We got to make some money back that we lost from one.
Exactly.
Yeah, they lost more money than they made.
Yeah. But my first like for this is the suits, because all of the suits for the kangaroos and all the other half monster animal people, they look amazing for this time period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is up there with Henson's version of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 10 years prior to this. It is that high quality, I think, in the way it looks. Now, granted, some of the faces on the kangaroos could have been redesigned.
Lord, please.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it works. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
But
So yeah, I would totally agree. In my long list of dislikes, I would have said the faces, but everything else about them, the warrior side, the outfits, the girl was even a little shorter and kind of made a bigger guy, and they really just looked really cool. The outfits fit the elements and the virtue and the weapons and all that, and so I totally agree. That was another cool thing. Throwing myself as a young kid, wanting those action figures, that kind of thing. And again, I'm early college at this time, but thinking if I was a young fella back then, I would have loved it. I mean, I just loved getting into that and watching those guys.
Yeah, because I think if in the same vein, Kirk, it'd be like if I would have watched this when I was younger, 1997, I would have probably been like in early teens. And if I would have watched that then and be like, oh my gosh, I probably would have loved it. And because
I just watched it with my 8-year-old, and he was glued.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because all the different things that we see, he totally missed. He totally like they were kind of went over his head.
Yeah, at that age, because you're more mesmerized by the ooh and ah, the action,
But that,
the whole bit.
and
That's what you're drawn
that was
to.
me. I was 8 when it came out, and we're going to talk about dislikes and stuff, but at 8, this was fantastic. Like this was, I mean, I'm not seeing all the plot holes and all the issues and all that kind of stuff. So, if we say bad movie month, and we could say that, right? But for the target audience, it was fantastic. It was awesome. We can look back here and do that, but which is fun. I love terrible movies.
Well, see, that's the thing about bad movie month is these are movies we suspect are bad. We have no idea before we watch them.
Yeah,
right.
This I feel is like on par with last year when we reviewed the Emoji Movie, because that movie was far better than it had any right to be.
Agreed.
It was still bad.
It was bad, but
it was better than it had right to be, and this kind of feels like the same thing to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So our second round of likes. I'm trying to skip ahead. I don't know why.
You just want to bash this film, apparently.
I guess.
Hey, I'll jump in. Can I jump in for this?
Sure,
one?
go ahead.
So,
Go ahead for your second like.
I have had a long-term dream, I guess, of or goal to write a book, and in my book is very cliche. I mean, it's very cliche, either martial arts or cliche anime, fantasy, you name it. It's got all the major points. And what I really loved about this was the world building, the idea that what it could have been with the animals and it using elements, but instead of just using elements, it used the virtues. And I that was something that I had just never thought of. I had never seen. I really enjoyed that side of it, and trying at least for the water kangaroo, which I can't remember all their names, Lai, Tai, all that stuff. But that water character and what he went through with the murder of the character, which you kind of saw some foreshadowing, like, yeah, I see where this is kind of going.
Yeah.
But kind of giving him but it was going against the virtue, right? And so I love the premise that they were trying to do. And it just made me expand maybe even my knowledge on what I want to do as a creator for my story in some of those worlds. I just really enjoyed that quite a bit. It's just really cool to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Okay, well, my second like, I loved the scenery, and I love Tao and the water and the town and like the village where there's it's almost like the tree houses and the whole communities out there. I love just the overall look of everything, even though that first scene when you see it, it's like, is Yoda gonna pop out? This looks like Dagobah. Like this is like what is happening here? The swamp. But dude, I really love the look of all of the scenery and everything like that, and really kind of how it intertwines with the life source of the water and how the water's flowing through. It was a really cool thing, and it was not even just Tao, but like all of the scenery of Komodo's like lair and stuff, and the other areas, the temple and stuff where they would find themselves, and just it was really like visually just like cool looking, which I thought it was like, well, there goes your $30 million was on the Roos and this, and then good luck with everything else.
Yeah.
It's kind of what happened. But yeah, just the overall look of everything. And it kind of goes in, Drew, to kind of what you were saying with the look of the Roos and the outfits and the suits and just everything that they were wearing. They got up to their neck and then they ran out of money. So, but yeah, so the overall look of the movie I thought was super cool.
Yeah, I would agree with that. With the the aesthetics and how the design and the whole bit is gorgeous. They're gonna be like they just ran out of money at the head.
Yeah,
but
well, you can only do so much with the human head before CG.
That is true.
That's the problem. We're pre Jar Jar on this.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean that. But you saying that, you talked about Drew. You talked about the actual characters.
Yeah.
But that wildebeest and rhino, I'm assuming that those two guys were even better than the kangaroos.
Yeah,
I agree. I just wish there were more. I just wish there were more.
Yeah, they had. I really wish they did have more of those animals, animal men scattered throughout this. And I think it worked so good with those guys is because the head of the beast was bigger than the human heads that had to stick it, that stuck in it, so it looked better.
Yes.
So, it looked like it was Bebop and Rocksteady. I thought that's what I coined them.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah, I could go with that.
They were more like
name them? I think
which actually hit me. Turtles, these characters, Ninja Turtles, and that's funny. There's a rhino and a wildebeest, and I mean, it looks fairly close to the wild boar and the rhino. But,
True. Jacob, your second like?
My second like is kind of be like, I don't know, maybe I'm throwing a fastball out there, because this one in retrospect of watching the movie and it kind of giving me time to marinate on this, I really enjoyed the performance of Angus McFlagan, I believe you pronounce his name.
You mean Komodo?
Yeah, Komodo. I enjoyed that performance.
He was fun to watch.
He was over the top. Every single scene, he's over the top. He's eating the scene up every time, and I find it very enjoyable. It's like, okay, this is beyond ridiculous, but at the same time, it's so you be like you can't pull your eyes away from it. And I thoroughly enjoyed that performance. I was like, oh my gosh, how much more insane can this character get? And it goes more over the top, more zany, more just like over an abundance of just like craziness of how insane the character is. But it's done in such a way that it's kind of appealing in a way that you're laughing at. It's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, but it's so good at the exact same time. So yeah. Komodo. I thought he was a very interesting character. He was compelling, even though he was crazy as a bag of rocks. But
yeah, I thought he was.
Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed Komodo as a character.
I liked his character. I just kept thinking Loki every time I saw him. I just was,
Yes.
just this guy right here.
Except Loki had obviously been on his medication, while this guy had obviously missed a couple doses.
Yeah,
just a little.
Yeah, he needed some more life force to help him out.
Yeah, that was the problem.
He was driving a cuckoo.
He was going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Or in this case, cuckoo for life force.
Yes, that. So yeah, my second like for this, believe it or not, is all the stuff that happens in the real world, because it gives just enough of an anchor for this movie that the rest of the movie kind of can go crazy.
Okay.
But I mean, are certain other things, like how good with the kung fu that Ming is with all the food. I was watching it and going, does this guy work at Benihana's or something? And I was confused while we were there at first, because it's like, wait, now we're in a kitchen in a restaurant. Why is this kid doing back here? But I mean, the whole, even down to where he's crossing over, I'm just going to say the portal, that water drain with the light shining up through it. I'm going, oh yeah, this isn't the magical portal to Narnia, is it? When I was watching, it's like, but even that looked cool and that looked awesome. It's like, okay, this probably wouldn't exist in an actual water plant, but this does look cool. It looked cool enough that literally when we first stepped into town, I was like, wow, this is like a 90-degree turn into Crazy Town. But I still enjoyed it. So that I think having the regular world seemingly take a little while to take so long, but allowed the movie to be anchored enough to reality that we could have crazy fun in Tao. So
agreed.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Just to piggyback on, and it's not going to be one of my 2 dislikes, but I didn't the Ming kitchen situation. I didn't. I was like, what is this? Why is he kung fu? What is all? Why did they add this in here? This actor, they were like, hey, yeah, he does martial arts. Can we just show off for a minute? Like there was no point in having. I mean, he handed him that whole thing, and like there was that portion of it. Yeah. But you didn't have to do all of the scenery in the kitchen, and that didn't even have to be part of the story. I don't know. It just seems like, okay, let's throw that in there.
I did like how they threw in 2 Power Ranger references kind of at the in that scene though with him, because at one point he says there's no morphing.
Yes,
like that was a weird line read.
That was a weird line.
And then later on he says it's cooking time.
Yeah,
it's like, gosh, what? It's like, okay, you're either trying to bash Power Rangers in a weird way or trying to do callback, which also doesn't really work. But anyway,
that's funny. Yeah.
All right, y'all ready for dislikes?
Yeah.
Oh,
who wants to go do this first?
I'm just jumping in. There is way too much of the story that we're assuming that we know a backstory to this. Like, okay, General Grillo, he used to be a good, but we don't know anything about that. Like, it's not explained. Nothing. I need a prequel is what I need. I don't need Warriors of Virtue 2. I need Warriors of Virtue 0.5, right? I need the prequels. There's so many things. Like then Komodo, it's never even said that he can split into 5 people at once, and it happens at the end, and we're just supposed to, okay, that's a thing that'll happen. There's just so many things in this movie that are like, what I don't understand the backstory. Like you even kind of mentioned, Drew, in the plot, like when you were telling it, well, he has a crush on this girl. It's like I don't know if that's happened. I don't even know. Like they rushed through some of that beginning stuff. I feel at least, but there's just so many things that happen in this. The whole, like, there was a battle and he murdered the brother. Well, it's just talked about, but what are we doing? They just threw all this backstory in there and briefly mention it, and I'm supposed to, and it's like it adds to it. I don't know, like it feels like they stuffed way too much into this one movie. Story wise,
I'm gonna agree with you on that.
Can I just say something here?
Sure, go ahead.
I think they didn't stuff enough in it.
Oh my gosh,
that was what I felt.
Not at all.
I felt all the plot holes that were happening were because there wasn't enough. Like
I didn't notice any plot holes because
I could have used about 30 more minutes, to be honest, to explain several of the things that were happening. And I kind of bit my tongue through Drew's last comment, his like, because I was hoping to use the plot holes, because the whole fight with Ming, let me just say, like, where did he come from? Where did he get the book? Why does he have the book?
Yeah, exactly.
Where did he go after? Why is he so special?
What
is with all of this? But the whole story is a plot hole. Then why is the portal there in this amazing thing that nobody saw it until now? And why are they even painting on the wall? Falls in. Why is this kangaroo missing? I mean, like it was just a constant like. I just wish they would explain something before we moved on to the next thing, because here we are again, and then the girl, and then the one thing that I did get the whole time was, and I kind of mentioned it in mine, the water kangaroo, which I'll just say the water. I mean, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
They said he killed someone, and I knew that was going to be a major point later, because it's like there's no reason you're going to tell me about this, and he's hiding. And then I kind of put together when she mentioned it was her brother got killed. I was like, oh, the kangaroo killed the brother, but why is she here? Why is she still here? And then the whole her going bad, and oh my gosh, just everything in this movie was a plot hole, and that's what made me upset. Like, here's another thing: where did Komodo come from? Why is he there? Why did he go bad? What is he going now? Because they're like, oh, you live here. Like, why? Where did, like, most bad guys have this arc where you see him coming? It just seems like he was just all of a sudden a bad guy one day, took over everything, and now you're back to just a regular old Joe. You're right. Good job. Now we're back to normal. But yeah,
when I say that there was so much thrown in there, the problem, I guess where I'm coming from, is that there were so many little half things thrown in there that they didn't complete. So it was just too much.
Yeah, I guess they could have took some of that out and just helped out other stuff.
Absolutely. If I would rather
too many.
I'd rather more development on some of those back, the plot, and less of all of that stuff. You know what I mean? Or unless it was going to be this giant saga and we were going to get a ton of movies out of this.
I mean, let me just say this. I wish we would have found out that Ming, I think that's his name, the chef, went to Tao, and he was the precursor and groomed up Brian, or whatever his name is, Ryan, to be the guy. And then he comes back to the real world, and he's like, oh, you did it. No, we never even see the guy again. This guy's like karate kicking the fountain or the water. And I'm like, why is this so special? It's so crazy to me what just happened. And we're never seeing him again. So I was like,
so I have something that will
Splinter isn't in it anymore.
I have something that will fix both y'all's problems, and is also part one my dislike here, and that's the fact that this movie should have been a 24 episode television series on Fox Kids. They had that much time to go through this entire plot line. You could have explained all this and made it a lot more satisfying to hit all these what are in this movie undeveloped plot points.
True.
Yes.
That we're just told this happened and you have to ingest it and move on.
Yeah.
So I really feel like they tried to cram in an entire season's worth, television season's worth of story into, what is this, an hour and a half?
Roughly, about an hour and a half.
So it just, when you get that much in there, it's just not gonna work without cutting something, because you have to explain what's going on. You can't just say, oh, he killed somebody, or oh, he's the villain. Why? Because he's the villain. It's like, okay, but why is he the villain? He wants life springs. What are life springs?
I mean,
we're never going to tell you other than
three
kangaroos
sentences
living
after. After he became normal Komodo, then like, oh, you're back. We are so. I mean, whatever. Why you went there? Just fix it. But no. The movie just all of a sudden he's back in Earth. It's like, what just happened? What happened?
What happened was they realized, oh crud, we have 10 minutes of movie left and nothing left to do in Tao. Okay, I'm just back. We're not going to tell you why. Like, was he hallucinating? Did he have a concussion? This would explain a lot.
That too. Yeah.
Because
I would have loved at the very end it was just all a dream, a la all the other portal fantasies in the world.
Yeah.
It was
made a lot more sense.
It was probably some bad Chinese food he ate.
I guarantee it was bad
that would have
Chinese
been
food.
hilarious.
It was just food.
That would have been hilarious. Bad Chinese.
Oh my gosh. Man,
Anyway.
oh man.
Yeah.
Your first is like Jacob.
My first is like is in that same vein. Be like, there's way too many plot points in here that are never explained. Like everyone's expounded upon. The movie is it's overstuffed with everything. We don't get explanations for anything. And I don't want to try to tread on everybody else's plot, their first dislikes, but oh my gosh, it'd be like what if they would have done done a little more diligence with the story, marinated it, massaged it a little bit more, gave it a little more time, maybe made this like a 2-part film or something like that, and like just drew your audience in with everything instead of just trying to cram it in that 1 hour and a half. Be like, it would have been a far better film to me. But be like, understand, be like you're trying to get one thing out, you're trying to be like, you're here, you got this budget, you're trying to do one thing, but they're gonna be like, it had such a great potential as a film with all these great ideas, but it was squandered with the time, the run time and everything else. It didn't have any time to breathe or any time to expound upon what it's trying to say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you
So second dislikes?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. We've all kind of disliked the same thing.
I jumped in before Jacob last time.
That's right. So my second dislike really, and I think many of us, we kind of chatted about this a little bit. The fight scenes, why do they go slow motion? What is that about? It makes it feel weird. Like there's so much potential for this fight scene to be awesome, right? And I feel like there's because of everything like that, right? How the Roos, we may not like the faces, but just the whole concept of everything. Like there's so many cool things that could happen, but they do like this weird like dream sequence kind of slow-mo. It's not even really slow-mo. I don't even know what to call it, but they do this stupid filter.
It's a slight slow motion.
Right, and you would even
slight slow motion, but then every once in a while there's a speed up. So
yeah, right. It's
weird,
super weird, and then it's like immediately when the fight's over and they're back to just conversation, whatever, it's back to normal. Just keep that. Just do that the whole time. Like why did we have to? I don't like it. It makes it. It chops it up. Really, what it does for me is it takes more attention away from the fight, and now I'm like, what is happening? And I'm missing out on what's potentially the best part of the movie. Could potentially be one of the best parts of the movie. Yeah, that as a whole I didn't like.
Yeah, I think Drew was the one that kind of messaged in the group chat and was like,
I was literally
is it lagging a little bit or whatever?
I literally thought my stream was lagging until I realized there was a pattern to the lag.
So I'm kind of 50-50 on this one. I'm not so much against the slow motion because I'm trying to put myself 1997, that type of special effects. I'm kind of envisioning fight scenes that have come after. And the first one I kind of think of was Transformers when that came out. And one of the tough things about Transformers when they were fighting is that you couldn't tell who was who. And they just a whole lot of things is just happening. And I think it was an attempt to do something new and different, and it didn't necessarily not work for me. What didn't work for me in the slow mo is they overused it for other scenes, like when the old guy, trained the Roos, which I can't remember his name, but when he comes out from behind the trees, he's in slow motion. They do slow motion for other non-fighting things, so it's almost like. A lot of times the movie is slow motion just when they're trying to emphasize some kind of point. If they had just stuck with certain kicks or punches or whatever to emphasize that and then gone back, but it was a lot. I mean, you're just constantly hitting it. And I think it was just their attempt to do something different than everyone else. And it didn't work that well.
The thing is, they're trying to be mystical with those fights and with those elements. And I think, don't quote me on this, I think that comes from 90s era martial arts films, though admittedly,
that was one of the things that I almost put in my likes.
Yeah,
was kind of how the Roos were old, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
But the problem is they didn't understand how they used it, because they just turned the slow mo on and then would leave it on for an entire fight instead of timing it for actual moves where it would make sense.
But if you think about it,
I mean,
too,
I thought 50-50. I liked the idea. I think
Right.
it was executed poorly.
Yeah.
I think like you think about like some anime fights and stuff, like there's a hit that's emphasized, right? Like Kirk's saying, like something maybe slowed down to see like the person's face like moving or whatever, but do it in that way. Like you said, don't leave the whole fight scene that way. It's like the editing process. They just turned it on and went and had coffee. They're like, yeah, fight scene's another minute or two. We're good. Just leave it on.
Yeah.
There. It just,
Well, they needed to add 10 more minutes to the time, so they just slowed down the fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Instead of adding in plot.
Why would we add in plot? It's going at 90 miles an hour as
That
it
is
is
true.
with no explanations. So,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Fix the. Yeah. Anyways.
yeah. What's your second dislike, Kirk?
Yeah. I got lots of dislikes. I was hoping that many of you guys would hit, and my number one, and I just still can't get over this. The rating of this movie is PG, and there are some things in here that I had to skip past while my 8-year-old was watching.
Fair.
And it just let me just say this: them saying crap, but the other version like 7 times in a row was a little overboard, right? But on top of that, the relationship. So, Jacob, you said Komodo, and I didn't dislike him. He was really over the top, but I think Komodo was for a different movie. Like if like this, he's a great baddie, but he was like almost like not for the audience, because I mean he's having like a menage with these 2 girls, and they're fighting over it in front of him. They're kissing and going at it, and the implications are there. The implications are there, and I'm like, yeah, well, this doesn't make sense. He's like, I just didn't like. You didn't need it. I hate when you're just doing it for will be a little edgy, right? Like we're just, this might be cool to throw in. And I wish, and I know PG is parental guidance. I get it, but PG to me is almost always under 13, right? I mean, that's how you put it in my mind. You got G, PG, PG-13. So I'm thinking anywhere under 13 would do this. And I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm now saved and Christian and kind of going that path. I just didn't like it or agree it. I hated it.
Fair.
I can see that. Yeah.
Jacob, what's your second dislike?
Okay, so like we've all watched a Mission Impossible movie here or there, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did anybody watch John Woo's Mission Impossible 2?
I did not. It's the next one on my
It's
list.
been a long time.
In my defense, Mama kind of soured that whole franchise on me because she hated that first movie.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I've heard be like, I remember watching it, it was okay, but the second one I loved because there again had this amazing soundtrack with Limp Bizkit and Metallica and that kind of stuff, because that was my era going into that kind of music.
Right.
But John Woo in this movie and a lot of his other films, he was known for doing slow motion. Kind of going to Andy's point where there is the use of slow motion to emphasize a point or to emphasize a kick. This is John Woo with his pigeons, but in overdrive. There are so many scenes where everything is like it's slowed down for no reason, or the entire fight scene is just, it's like Drew said, be like, is my internet lagging? Because there's so many scenes where it's just like the kicks and the fighting choreography is so slowed down for no reason. And I think there again, this was the mid to late 90s, so there was this emphasis to be like there was the we're going to embrace the kung fu movies coming from Japan and
China,
coming from China. But I think just be like, I understand where they were going with it, but it was the overuse and oversaturation of the slow motion. Be like, if they would be like, there again, this movie, like we've all said, this movie is going at a neck breaking pace, and it's be like, we need to slow it down. Let's just make a character slow down a little bit for a second. and it just be like, learn to put like slow motion where it needs to be, not every like anytime a character enters a room, they gotta slow down a little bit. It's just like it became so irritating. And there again, I was the exact same when Drew posted that. It's like, is my internet lagging? Is something going wrong? But nope, it's just a movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, this movie needs to be like loves the idea of slowing down about everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, second dislike.
Yeah.
My second dislike for this, I was going to say pacing, but that kind of goes in with everything else.
Right.
So I'm going to talk about the fact that there are so many side characters in this that feel like they have story, and we never get to hear a thing about it.
True.
Granted, I don't know how you cram that in with everything else outside of making it a television series, but I mean, you just looking at the villains, you've got three sets of minions. One of them is a discount Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, and I'm like, this looks like an interesting character. Y'all gonna
kind of reminded me of Evil Lynn.
Oh, Evil Lynn.
I think more like Scorpina or something like that.
It's more like that.
That was the other one I was thinking of.
It feels like they added these characters because they're in Power Rangers.
Right.
But Power Rangers had time to develop them. Even when you look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, and it had to develop, what's the pig's name that was new to that movie? Either way.
Yeah.
We learned quickly enough about him that it was fine. It didn't matter that he was a minion with virtually no backstory.
Yeah.
I think we already knew Goldar because he's Goldar.
Yeah.
But it worked there because he had just a couple lines enough to make me go, okay, this is who this character was. You look at all these other characters, they're just people in costume. They're not characters, is what it feels like.
And to your point on saying that it could have been a 25-point series or whatever, what I would have really loved is have less extra characters and more characters that fit the kangaroos. I mean, like, why are there just 4 kangaroos there and 2 other animals and everybody else is normal?
Yeah.
Like, it just didn't make sense. You have all these characters that you're introducing. Why are they all there? Why? What is going on? Why are you at this place? Right? There's a part of the plot holes and a part of those characters.
Basically, what we're all saying is write a movie, not a show, if you're writing a movie.
Right.
Yes.
Make it be like either make it a 2-part film or a 12-episode TV show on Netflix.
You know what format you're going into. If you create a world building for a second thing and now you're stuck with the other, you're gonna have to make some cuts that aren't fun to make. But you have to make
felt like in Jumanji. Jumanji's a portal, type fantasy. And they go into Jumanji and then they find the guy and they realize he was from the real world.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that. When did those guys come in here? When did this all happen? And then it wasn't. And I was like, okay.
It really felt like Ryan was the only person from the real world that made it here outside of possibly us finding out Ming did it before him.
Yeah.
Where did the rest of these humans come from? I really felt like they were going to make a reference to maybe Komodo was a human from the regular world that maybe came in with Ming and then Ming escaped and left him there. That would have been an interesting plot point.
Yeah, agreed.
But the only other one that I
thought, as I can tell, he was just always there and went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
The only one I thought was Alicia, because she does mention in one spot, she said, with her parents, I wish I knew my parents and her brother. And it almost seems like, in the real world, like that thing. But then even to our point, it's like Komodo starts calling her, and then the next scene she's bad. What happened?
Yeah.
What?
I still don't get that transition.
Yeah, there's just they're not connecting these things. So anyway.
Well, what I would have loved is the guy, the chef, if he would have been the Master Chung's son or something. The guy who trained the Roos, if he was the chef and those guys were related. And that's how he got the book. And we would explain that portion.
Yeah.
And that would have told us why this portal's even there. I don't know. Yeah. I know you're getting bullied by those guys, and I have a premonition. You're going to the water plant that has a toxic portal to another world. Here's the book. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. All right, so we have reached the end of our likes and dislikes, so we do need to rate this film. What are y'all rating it?
All right. So when I think I had high nostalgia that was tied to it, but I have to be honest. There's this movie we talked about it with so much potential, but the execution just fell flat. Like it just, whether it was budget, but it might have, I don't even know. So giving it, and if I'm correct, you're saying to the nearest half.
Nearest half.
I
Yes.
don't want to give a whole number, so I'm going to put a half on. So a 3.5, and the reason I'm going to do that is this is not. I mean, I watched it obviously to prepare for this again, but I'll probably go another 20 years before it even is on my radar again. It's not a rewatch for me. And honestly, probably nostalgia is playing a lot to that. I could go even lower. I just think that for all of like the things that could be cool about the movie, everything else just falls flat. Like it's a shame. I want it to be better than it is. So 3.5. We're gonna go there.
Kirk?
I feel that I would, going in the movie in my mind's eye, seeing what we were seeing, I went in thinking probably in the 7 to 8 neighborhood, like 7, like not the greatest, not the worst, kind of middle of the road. Just, it's something from my childhood. I looked at all the other kind of ratings, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, whatever. Most of them put it right about a 4.5 to a 5. So I was like, oh, that's probably a good spot, because I'm trying to envision 9-year-old me watching this. But to your point, Andy, I'm not 9 years old anymore. I'm 45. I'm looking at the movie. I love all the potential. I wish it was better. I wish it was rebooted. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I know that's like a big deal. Like people, don't reboot my childhood. This one needs a reboot.
Yes,
and
it does.
let somebody with some real money come in and actually make these guys with, maybe CGI or whatever. So I am going to land on a 4. It's not right in it's not a middle where I want to see the potential, but it's not really a rewatch. But I do like the potential. I wish it was better. But any number below a 6 works for me. If you say it's a 1, I get you.
Right.
I get it. I'm going to go with a 4.
Okay, 4. All right.
I'm gonna give it a 5 because it's there gonna be like there's this great potential. They had so much built up to what they were trying to do with the film, and it just the execution wasn't great. Be like you have characters, you have design, you have world building, you have all this great stuff they're trying to do with this film, and it just failed miserably. But it's one of those films to be like, it's like, oh, okay, be like, I've watched this film. It has like all these really good potential points, but then it's just more the execution is done terribly. And there again, be like, I think kind of going to where our main character, our child character, has to learn this great lesson or something like that. But I think putting it kind of in a 5, it's kind of the middle, that kind of like Kirk said, kind of giving it a 4 or 5, where it's not this utter piece of garbage that no one needs to go watch, or giving it a 10, where be like, this
If
is
you were giving it a 10, I'd have to check you for COVID.
Or cocaine.
It's like you're running are you running a temperature? Are you okay, Jacob?
Yeah.
But I would give this movie a 5. It's got this nugget of potential, like Kirk said. Be like, if like one of these films that needs a reboot, make it a franchise,
I mean, if it would have went the Princess Bride / Never-Ending Story route,
yeah, that would have been amazing. That would have been absolutely amazing if they would have done that. But there again, limitations, budget, what have you. Be like, if they would have a little more budget and they would have stretched the story out into like a 2-hour film or whatever. But there again, like Kirk said, be like trying to put yourself in that 1997 version of you, like watching Batman Forever or something like that. Just like enjoying the crud out of this film. But they're going to be like, I'm 40 now, and I see the potential. I enjoy the potential. It's just like it just kind of goes belly up with a lot of it. But yeah, it's a 5. Drew?
I have been watching a lot of tokusatsu lately.
Yes.
And a lot of it is not what I would consider good filmmaking just because it's cheap.
Yeah.
But some of it is still enjoyable. And that has somewhat informed my thought here because Good Night, they tried so hard with this, a lot harder than I've seen a couple other things recently. I think the problem is, like I said, should either be a 2-hour movie or a 24-episode TV show or something. I would love for them to remake this in a animated form, like a 2D, either a 2D anime or a 3D.
Dude, that was one of my closing arguments.
Clone Wars-esque movie. I would ask TV show. I would love to see something like that. Looking at what we have with all the world building, it's just got so much potential that is mostly squandered. So all in all, I have to go 4.5.
Okay.
It's got a lot of good pre-production, and a lot of its regular production is good. It's just the story is so fast and contains so much without developing any of it that it just turns into a fever dream.
Agree.
After a while, because I don't know why things are happening, because you've only said it once an hour ago, and I don't remember what you said an hour ago. What thing was said behind somebody's back and off screen an hour ago to remind me why this is happening. So yeah, 4.5. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of effort. It's just not executed well at all. Fair.
Yeah. I thought I was high pointing it at a 4. I'm glad you guys went 4, 5, and 5.
I'm surprised I went low end on that one. So but I think I had so much.
I mean, we did just last week watch a animated Titanic movie where nobody died.
It was so bad.
I watched that. That was
so. I mean, in comparison, this is actually good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be it for the review. We're going to hit the intermission, and then
what are we watching next?
Oh, next week. I forgot about next week.
Something to do with a polar bear.
Oh, was the polar bear next week?
Yes, polar bear's next week.
I was hoping the one with the fairies was next week.
Nope. It's with a polar bear.
Hey, that would be Norm of the North. That's next week.
Yeah. What I keep hearing in the film, it's not good.
Well, you're welcome for giving you this.
Yes, we really do appreciate that.
Yes. A nice palate cleanser before the yeah.
It's
hopefully it's not bad as Leo the Lion.
We don't talk about Leo. Whoa. So yeah, we're gonna hit the intermission. Join us on the other side, and we'll be talking about what we've been watching, what's in the news, and maybe some interrogating, and then some X-Men.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we're promoting The Rushmore Show. The Rushmore Show is the place for ranking the ultimate top 4 in sports, video games, nostalgia, movies, and so much more. Each week, Andy and Kirk spark engaging discussions and friendly debates, making The Rushmore Show your compass in the realm of pop culture rankings. You can find more at their YouTube channel, The Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top 4 and nothing more.
Those guys sound cool.
Oh yeah, they do sound cool.
Go check them out.
Yeah, that sounds like a blast.
The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, and PaulJPowers.com. If you want to hear your name read on the show, and plus hear our uncut reviews and maybe some artwork from Jacob from time to time, just join us over. Feel free to go and give us some money over on Patreon. And for those of you wondering why Deedlet's not reading this, we had a little bit of a fight, and because I needed to add Rushmore Show to our lineup, and she didn't want to edit it. That's why I've had that other person on our Patreon list for so long, and I keep having to talk over it to say don't listen to this name. So I'm now doing the live readings for this. So yay! Yes, we'll talk about it later. Anyway. So, guys, I have a question for y'all.
What have you been watching?
Andy, why don't you go first? Or Kirk, I don't care which one.
Yeah, well, you said Andy, so I'm gonna jump the gun on that. You know, it's interesting. It's funny, and I don't know if Kirk's gonna mention this. We didn't really talk about this, but we are doing in October. We're talking about TV, and we put out this challenge to each other over the last I don't know year. Really, it's been. I'm going to watch a show that he really enjoys. He's going to watch a show that I really enjoy. And we're going to do an episode where we do some kind of review or something like that. Some sort of Rushmore. Anyway, all that said, I have been glued to the Goldbergs. The Goldbergs has been my show that I love it. It's so good. It's kind of, based in the 80s, and it's all about nostalgia and living in the 80s. And our show is all about nostalgia as it is. So it's just a cool trip down that. You get to see movies, action figures, cultural pop culture stuff, everything news that was happening in the 80s, and it's super fun. So I've been hooked on. I'm season 6 of 10. I think it's still currently they have new episodes coming out. So I mean they're in 10 seasons. It's lasted a while.
Anything else?
Yeah, I am doing the same challenge, and I am watching Andy's favorite television show of all time, one of the two. And we actually did an episode last year of every October is our top 4 television shows of certain genres. And we just kind of figured, since mine's the Goldbergs and I had never watched his all the way through, and he had never watched mine, I decided I was going to take on it. So I am in the last season of The Office. And that is, I had only watched a handful of show episodes, and I am watching The Office. And this October, we're going to do an episode, My George Against Your George of some sort. And he's going to discuss some things from the Goldbergs. I'll discuss some of the things from The Office. Side note, I am watching Fringe as well. Started that back over.
That's a good show.
That's really cool too. So I'm kind of watching those two together. That's where I'm at.
Cool.
All right. Jacob.
So we are doing a crossover.
Yes.
Another crossover with another channel.
Well, we already crossed over with him once for another animated TV 6-episode animated
That
TV
is
show.
True. Boy. Go listen to that one,
about
people.
King Kong.
Yeah.
Wait, was it actually about King Kong? Because he was only in 3 episodes?
Yeah, Skull Island.
Yeah. Good night.
Annie. Oh boy.
We don't talk about Annie.
We don't talk about Annie. Oh my gosh. That was a rough episode. Oh my gosh. But we are reviewing Gamma Rebirth on Netflix for Monster Island Football with Nate Marchian. And I'm in episode 2 right now. I was trying. Here's the thing. When you are where part of my job is, I'll go over to our gas station and sit over there for a couple of hours and just watch the pumps. So
you watched this while you were at work?
I tried because they're getting you on a phone.
Yeah,
it's really tiny, and it's like, nope, this ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work.
So, I don't know where that animation is. It might have looked better on your phone.
True. That is so true. So
to be fair, I watched Warriors of Virtue on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Fair.
So for the most part, most people are like, oh no, you can't go in the middle of an episode and watch something, right? Be like, you have to follow it, episode by episode, right? So I watched one episode. I mentioned this on a previous episode or two. I started watching one episode. I was so confused. What was going on? Who was this? And didn't have the full understanding because I didn't watch the previous show. But then they dropped episode 5. And I'm like, wait a minute. they're bringing this character back in. This actor.
What are we talking about?
I'll get to it in a minute.
Okay, I thought we were still talking about Gamera.
No, cool your jets. Cool your jets. So what I'm referring to is Ahsoka on
Ahsoka.
Disney Plus.
I have not watched episode 5 yet.
Okay. So be like there again. I've only watched episode 1 and a little bit of episode 2, but be like you get on social media and all you see is all these amazing clips people put in. It's like, what in the world is going on? I have to watch that. I don't care if I'm, a couple episodes behind. I need to watch this episode, and it was freaking fantastic. Oh my gosh, because it's this inner struggle with characters and who they are, and be like their lessons they need to learn. And I was like, oh my gosh, do not spoil what's going on if you haven't seen it. But oh my gosh, episode 5 is like some people on the internet, it's be like probably the best television ever. I would disagree with that, but it's so well done. And I was like, I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, they brought this character in and they use certain lines here and there. It's just like, oh my gosh, this was amazing. So
I'm there with you, Jacob. I watched episode 1 and 2, and again, I haven't gone past that. It was a very slow start, but I will say, I watched Andor when it came out, and it started out really slow, but I really enjoyed it at the end. So
yeah,
I still need to watch Andor.
It is, dude. If it's the last scene in Andor makes everything worth it. The last scene, you're like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's so good. But I mean, it gets way better as it gets in. But it's only like 8 episodes, 6, 8, whatever.
I haven't watched Ahsoka because I haven't watched Andor and the latest season of Mandalorian. And
well, I mean, technically, you don't need to watch those for this show.
Yeah, but
watching Rebels will be a big help.
Yeah,
I like to do things in order. I've seen Rebels.
Okay,
so
I just like watching them in order.
Fair enough.
Other than that, I like in just doing my notes. I got done notes early. Oh, fun fact! There's a This Is Not Mark channel on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
He does Dragon Ball reviews and the whole bit. So he's currently going through the Boo saga.
Oh my word!
Yeah. So
there's a slow burn.
Yeah. The funny thing is, okay, so everybody knows about Team 4-Star, right?
Yes, they've never done this season because they got in trouble with Toei.
Yeah. They're doing it.
I'll believe it when I see episodes released.
Well, what they're doing,
because last I heard, it's not happening.
Yeah. But what they're doing is they're doing DBZA Boo Bits, where they're taking little segments from this arc and just doing their thing to it, and it's done so well. Be like, you take the point where Majin Vegeta at this point is going to sacrifice himself in order to defeat Boo, and it's just like, it's so well done. It's just like, it's got that same gritty comedy you have from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and it's just updated, and it's just like, wow, this is really good. I was thoroughly impressed with it. And plus, I'm Not Mark does an incredible job with doing a deep dive analysis on these shows, and I've learned so much from watching his analysis of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Super, which apparently Super was kind of just, what the world were they thinking?
No, GT is what in the world they're thinking. Super was actually pretty good.
But
I enjoyed Super.
Yeah,
I can't speak for anybody else.
That is true. But
I still need to finish Super.
So apparently he teamed up with Team 4-Star to get these little segments done, and now Team 4-Star is putting them out. And it's just like, oh my gosh, the nostalgia of this guy saying, it's like, oh my gosh, have you heard of Dragon Ball Z Abridged? And just watching episode after episode, it was just so much fun. And then them having to having the coming back with it a little bit with Boo Bits was just absolutely fun as can be to watch. So yeah, Boo Bits.
Sounds so bad.
It does.
And I'm sure that's intentional, to knowing Team 4-Star.
True.
I have been watching, like you said earlier, Gamma Rebirth. I actually finished Gamma Rebirth this afternoon. And like I posted in a text to you and Nathan, I have never been so happy to see somebody get eaten before.
Oh
my word.
I was hoping it was one of the students.
It's The problem with that show, and I'm trying to hold back because we're going to be talking about this more when we
Yeah.
record with him on Monday.
Yeah.
But the problem with the show is that they animated the whole thing in that pseudo anime 3D.
Oh gosh.
And that's the problem, because if they had just done the monsters, which look good, the monster fights look great in this style. The actual human beings who are just sitting around talking look like they're being animated like in this, like their frame rate is in the single digits. It's how it's weird, and it's like y'all shouldn't have done it that way. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
but overall the story was good. The show has been enjoyable, at least for me. I know you haven't got caught up yet.
No,
but you've got a weekend to do that.
Yeah, that's true. Mine would have been, it's like, okay, I'd never heard of Gamera. I've heard this guy talk about Gamera, and it's like, oh, it's a turtle who flies.
Yes,
because he's got magic and he can fly, or he pulls a mobile suit Gundam and transforms into flight mode. It's like, okay, this is weird, but okay.
But other than that, of course, I watched Star Trek Lower Decks,
of course,
yesterday. I still need to watch this week's Ahsoka. And that's pretty much what I've been watching, because the rest of my time has been spent playing Starfield.
How is Starfield?
It's a very fun game. I highly suggest it. So if you've got the means.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what we've been watching. So Jacob, what do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Excuse me, getting over cold.
Yeah. Admittedly, Deedlet's been a little cranky with us since Nathan was here last week, and Jimmy.
Oh gosh.
Jimmy kind of did mess something up in there, and I still got to get in there and clean it out.
Yeah. Thanks, Jimmy.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of Dragon Ball. All right, this October, in celebration of the 10th anniversary of Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods, Goku and friends return to the big screen to save Earth in one of the most epic battles of Dragon Ball franchise. Toei Animation and Fathom Events announced plans to re-release the film in a special 2-day event starting October 17th and 18th in theaters across the United States. Fans can enjoy the celebration more than 800 theaters through the Fathom Events. Check your local listings. So yeah, if you want to go see a very fun Dragon Ball movie in theaters, there you go.
Yeah, that one was a fun one.
So yeah, that's all I have for the news.
Oh, really? Just that one little bit?
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Like everything else was like, okay, we talked about that last week, or like, this has been, plagued to death.
No, I just didn't know the news had been that slow.
Yeah, it's kind of slow.
All right. Then we have an interrogation to do.
Yes.
Interrogation.
All right. So as our listeners know very fondly, that if we have guests on, we give them a bombardment of questions that they're not prompt. They don't know what's coming. So, gentlemen, first question: what was the because I know we have guest starred on your show, and you very obligingly came over to our show. Thank you very much for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the big question is, what was the cartoons in your life that inspired you as a kid?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I am all about Nickelodeon in the 90s. So if it's going to be Doug, Hey Arnold, Rugrats, just all of these ones, Real Monsters, The Wild Thornberrys,
Mm-hmm.
Rocket Power, all of these cartoons that came out in the 90s with Nickelodeon, but also on top of that. So obviously I was all things Nickelodeon. If you watch the Rushmore Show, anytime we talk about cartoons, I make sure to bring up Nickelodeon. It's just it's everything about me. But also on top of that, I was big Fox Kids, so we're gonna be talking. We'll be talking about X-Men here in a little while. But man, you talk about X-Men, all of those other the Spider-Man, all of these cartoons. I loved the Tick. The Tick was a fantastic one. Like just
that one was fun.
It was super fun. So all of those, I could go on forever. Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain. I could just keep going on. So if it was a cartoon, Pokemon, like I was all about it. So if I had to hone it in though, anything in that 90s kind of time frame with Nickelodeon for sure was all me.
Kirk?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'm more the 80s side of things. I Saturday morning cartoons with cereal. We've had 2 episodes on the Rushmore Show that have honed in on this. One of them was you guys came on for intro music to that, and then we had another episode where we did our top 4 cartoons ever. And I'm just, most of my cartoons are going to be in the 80s, whether it's G.I. Joe, He-Man, Voltron. I just loved everything 80s that how animation started. I even like the USA Cartoon Network, which brought some of the older syndicated stuff from the 70s. But and you mentioned it, Andy. Early 90s was really great with like Batman. That was my George. If you go and check that out, Batman the Animated Series. Love X-Men, which it was kind of an awesome to review that. But Ghostbusters, man, underrated. So I mean, there's so many. Chip and Dale. All the Disney afternoon cartoons were fantastic. Darkwing Duck, Chip and Dale, DuckTales. I am all over those. So that would be where I live. Yep.
I didn't say one more because of my.
Go ahead.
Just one more. I love Space Ghost Coast to Coast when it came back on Cartoon Network at late night. But Kirk doesn't like adult cartoons. So I understand.
Yeah, I am kind of anti-adult themed cartoons, which is one of the reasons I did whatever that Warriors just got on me. But I just don't like the crudeness in the midst of animation. I just don't. I never have.
Fair.
So ever since you guys do a more countdown thing with Rushmore, be like, what would be your, now granted you guys could use this whatever you want, but what would be one of the cartoons if you were to do a Rushmore show over like your most hated cartoons that's anime or Western or whatever? Be like, what would be one of them? What would be one show that you absolutely just despised growing up?
I just really said it. I mean, it's any of those adult ones, but South Park, Family Guy, anything that evolve around those type of cartoons.
Yeah,
I just don't like them. I usually love cartoons. I love sitting down with my 8-year-old and watching cartoons. I could do it all day, but there's just something about it that there's a time where I loved like Beavis and Butthead and Ren and Stimpy, but now that I'm older and I look back, I'm like, gosh, it's so terrible.
Yeah.
But I just don't get in it anymore. That would be my.
So 2 things.
We would call those mores, by the way.
That's what we call them. Yeah. For me, 2 things come to mind. Number one, because I'm such a 90s Nickelodeon fan, I hated when Disney got the rights to Doug and everything that they changed.
Why did I know that was on this list?
Oh my gosh. They changed everything. It was the voices, the animation. Roger Klotz wasn't really like a super bully. Anyway, I hated that. But another thing that comes to my mind is like there's certain cartoons that were designed for kids but not. So like there's ones that are labeled like we know it's an adult cartoon, a Family Guy, a South Park. Like the time that those air is more geared towards adults. But like, so I'm thinking of specific ones from like Cartoon Network. So like Cow and Chicken was very weird. If you remember that one, like the pantless devil was one of the characters, and it was just like it was weird to watch. Like
I was much more of a fan of I Am Weasel, but
there you go. Yeah,
but that may just because Michael Dorn was in it.
but so there's that one. There's like growing up, I didn't like Courage the Cowardly Dog. It was really weird. I guess that would be more so what I'm thinking. But if I'm gonna say my George of cartoons that I hate, it was Disney's Doug.
Okay.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. So, what is your favorite Western anime?
By that he means American, basically.
Yeah, American based.
Not anime.
Yeah, that's inspired by anime.
Wait, inspired by anime?
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
Mostly.
Okay. I know that's a huge curveball.
Yeah.
So Western made anime.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I'll be on, and I could be wrong in this, so you can educate me. I was not the biggest anime fan. Not that I was like not an anime fan. I didn't really venture into a lot of that stuff up. So like the main ones that I watched were your Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon. I mean, that was like the two things. But again, I don't know. Is that considered Western? I don't know. But
no,
those are really
what
like
Jacob's talking about is stuff more like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, stuff like
Stuff that was
Yep.
made
And that
over
was the
here,
one
but in
that I
an
was
anime
gonna say.
style.
Yeah, Teen Titans Go, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was the one that I was throwing out there was Avatar. And mainly because, and it goes back to the Warriors of Virtue. That's what I thought of when I saw all the things that they were doing. But when I go back to talking about my book, right? If I was to take 3 stories to mash them together to make my book, right, would be Avatar meets like a Narnia, if you will.
Yeah.
But have Final Fantasy essence of the video game in it. That's basically my book. And I love Avatar. I mean, I just did.
Maybe I'm wrong with this.
Me and my
too,
son are kind of going through that right now, actually.
Yeah. So that just got brought back to my mind was going to work was Samurai Jack. I don't know.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I'll count that as
really
anime.
Enjoyed Samurai Jack. So thinking about that one, I had to think about it. But yeah.
I'll call it anime because it's definitely Asian inspired, though I think it's more kung fu movie than the normal anime, but I'll count it.
Right.
Samurai Jack was fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's another one. So if you had the opportunity to go see an animated film that you've never seen in theaters, had the opportunity to go see it in theaters, what film would it be?
Oh, hands down, the Transformers movie.
Transformers the movie.
Yeah, the one that you guys started on.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
Mhm.
That movie to me is one of the best movies ever, and I wish I would have saw it in theaters.
I would not be surprised if it ends up in theaters in the next 5 years again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was one of the movies that kind of cemented, the Cellcast. Because
I mean, if you're talking about movies from my past, right? Nostalgia, things that really throw a landmark somewhere in my life stream, if you will. That movie meant a lot to me when it came out. I owned it, and the death of Optimus and all that stuff. I think it would have been really cool to transport back to 1985 or 6 or whenever it was, and be sitting in the theater watching that. That'd have just been really cool.
So I mentioned before, I'm not as huge into the anime side of things, but one movie that I way later than what it had originally come out, screen was Spirited Away. Spirited Away was
that's a lot easier to get a hold of because Studio Ghibli does that like every year. They re-release all that stuff in theaters.
Right. So it's on the TV screen, but to go see her. I love the animation. I love the story.
So I had never really watched any of those until recently getting Max it's called now, but HBO Max had a couple of those on there, and I watched a whole bunch of them, kind of just binge watching. And man, those are fantastic watches. I just love them.
Oh yeah. There's a reason we do a Studio Ghibli month every year.
Yeah, and honestly, I enjoy animation. Do not be wrong. I enjoy anime. When he started introducing Studio Ghibli films, I was like, oh my gosh, where have some of these been in my life? Because it just be like the way, and there again, he's got another film coming out. Yeah.
later this year. I don't know if we're going to react to it or not, but
yeah, but it sounds it's a Studio Ghibli Hayao Miyazaki film.
I mean, it's got your last name in it.
That's true. Boy and a heron. Yeah, not the fish, but the bird.
I don't know. There's probably some fish in there too.
Oh yeah, probably. So, like I always like to say, or like to tee up with our guests during this segment. If you were to be trapped in an anime world, what would you want to be trapped into? What world would that be?
Anime or anime?
Andy, I'll let you go first.
Any
Anime.
cartoon,
Yeah.
Western, anime,
cartoon.
whatever.
Oh wow. The one that jumps out to me right away, and I could be wrong. Maybe I think through this. Again, with it being interrogation, kind of put on the spot here. One of my favorite cartoons is, and I'm going to go Nickelodeon again, but I'm gonna be in. You know what? No, I'm changing it, but it's still Nickelodeon. Rocket Power. Because if I get to surf and skate all day and hang out at my dad's best friend's restaurant and get food there, give it to me. So Rocket Power is super fun. I was going to say, Hey Arnold. That was the other one because of just the tight group of friends and everything. So, yeah. But my brain is always on Nickelodeon. So, it's just where I'm at.
All of my favorite cartoons, as I'm thinking about them, seem very dangerous to be in their world. So I'm trying to think of one that's a little less deathly, because thinking of like Batman, that'd be cool, but it'd be not really cool.
You're in
Gotham, Voltron or what else. So I'm gonna land on Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah,
I can see that. I can see that.
I would love to land and hang out with Phineas and Ferb for the summer and find out what we're doing today.
Excellent. So, final question, final part of this interrogation. What was your favorite film, animation-wise, you've seen in theater so far?
I'll jump out. Listen, over the last month, I've gone and seen the new Ninja Turtles movie, and I've gone and seen Elemental, and I think Elemental trumps it tremendously.
Really? Okay.
I listen. I love the Turtles movie, and I love turtles, but there was just something about that Elemental movie. Watching it with my kids, I mean, it was a tearjerker, and I just love the story. It's the first one that popped to my mind. It might not be the best ever that I've seen in theaters, but it's definitely the most recent. Probably the best is Mario Brothers.
Okay,
to be honest. So I kind of gave you a 3 for.
Yeah, it's in the one that I'm thinking of, but the most recent Super Mario.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. It had just from an animation standpoint. Obviously, that was beautiful. All of that work, DreamWorks, that kind of stuff. But
it's Illumination.
Everything that you could see, it appealed to those who have been Mario fans from the beginning to brand new ones. The music that was in it, like the Peaches song, like we all think that's great, and it is.
Yes.
The subtle video game tunes in the background.
Oh my gosh, everything. There was not. It was the most intentional, like thought through of each individual element that I've seen, and it was.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Like I love when he goes down in the tunnel. And it's like, do, and it,
yes,
like they were so thought. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, dude, I was super excited when they were racing down the road. I'm thinking, okay, I know we're heading to Rainbow Road. Are you gonna play the Rainbow Road theme? Yes, they're playing the Nintendo 64 Rainbow Road theme. I am here for this.
Donkey Kong rap, dude.
My only problem with the DK rap is they didn't actually credit the songwriter for it in the credits, which stinks. But
oh my
gosh. I would say, that's probably good choices.
Okay. Yeah, I think personally, just looking back, because I think my favorite film would probably be like I could count like many ways, like how much I love Tangled or something like that. But the movie that kind of stands out in my mind was going to see Lion King in theaters the first time. That was such an epic moment, cinema wise.
Funny story about Lion King, and it's probably one of the first animated movies I ever seen in theaters,
Mhm.
if I can remember correctly. But it was my very first date.
Nice.
Needless to say, it didn't work out.
Okay.
I would say there are two movie-going experiences of animated movies that are about equal, but only one of them do I still like the movie as much as I did the day of. That one would be Wreck-It Ralph, because I just absolutely loved that film, and I still love that film.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, the first time I was in that movie theater watching the Lego movie, I was having the time of my life. Now, granted, I after, you know, I don't like it as much now, but that first time I watched, I was like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is more than what this movie had to be. So
if I did a Rushmore of animated movies, like if we did that, the Lego movie would definitely be on it for me, just because I think of the brilliant writing. There were so many Easter eggs in that movie that are just mind-blowing to me. So I love that pick.
All right.
Nice. I think the interrogation's over.
All right. Then let's go ahead and jump into our review of these X-Men episodes.
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over-funky, kinda hulky superhero. Optimistic and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically erotic and aquatic superhero. The Marvel superheroes have arrived. X-Men, X-Men, it's the day, X-Men, X-Men, come and go. Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
Before we get too far into this, I need to make a comment over a trivia piece from last week's episode, because this first episode kind of makes it sound like I didn't know what I was talking about. Because I mentioned last week that was the final appearance in the show of Sabretooth, Nightcrawler, and I think somebody else.
Not so much.
That would have been the way the episodes originally came out.
Yes.
These episodes are after midway through season 3, X-Men the animated series started being made out of order for some unknown reason. So our first episode is from mid season 4, and our second one is from the end of season 3. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the last season 3 episode.
Oh, okay.
So just putting that out there. First episode of the night, The Lotus and the Steel, which first aired February 3rd, 1996, directed by Larry Houston and Fred Miller, written by Ted Peterson and Francis Moss. In this episode, Wolverine heads to Japan for some solitude and soul searching, but he finds his Japanese friends under siege by a gang of bandits. The guest cast for this episode includes Don Franks as Sabretooth, Adrian Hugh as Nightcrawler, Dennis Akiyama as the Silver Samurai, and Wayne Robson as Master Oku. Trivia for this episode. When the villagers are wary of him, Logan asks, "Did I step on a duck?" This is likely a reference to the line Rodney Dangerfield says after farting in Caddyshack, which, to be fair, would not be the strangest reason to keep away from someone. Clips from this episode, which aired prior to this one. are from Proteus Part 1, 1995, Weapon X Lies and Videotape, 95, Till Death Do Us Part 1, 93, Nightcrawler, 95, Out of the Past Part 1, which is 1994, and Deadly Reunions from 1993 are used to highlight Wolverine's past, his building control issues, and reason for leaving the X-Men. Nightcrawler's reflection is also seen in the mirror, reiterating his advice to Wolverine from the episode Nightcrawler. Also, an interesting note with Logan's exoskeleton, he probably couldn't pass a security checkpoint to fly to Japan.
No.
Because they certainly couldn't get into the Statue of Liberty in that one movie.
He definitely wouldn't do it now.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well,
he's got knives in his hands, for crying out loud.
That's true. And also, I don't think the TSA was that, strict back then.
True, but there were metal detectors.
That is true. Well, maybe he just had to be like, he wanted a pat down instead.
Oh, I'm sure that'd go over real well with Wolverine.
It's like,
so, what are y'all's thoughts? Kirk, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so kind of uncultured swine when it comes to the samurai, and until I watched the Wolverine movie. And, once I saw the Wolverine movie, I kind of like dug into it a little bit more. And once I saw him, Cannon's my son. We were watching together. He's like, "Who's that guy, Dad?" And I was like, "Oh, I think that's the Silver Samurai from a la the movie." I kind of liked. I wish I would have had more backstory. You guys have been watching it for quite a while, and I love watching things through. Like I said earlier, seeing those flashbacks and whatever, I was like, man, I wish I kind of understood a little bit more. It kind of felt like you just got dropped in the middle of something, but it's classic Wolverine, man. This is what made us all love him. He just got irritated with everything, and there was a time that he shouldn't have been our favorite guy, and we all love him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just crazy, and I kind of saw Karate Kid 2 in this episode. Like,
Okay.
He's going over there to Japan and helping out the villagers, and saving them from the bad guy. That's kind of how I felt with it.
All right, Andy.
All right, I got a few thoughts. First of all, we open up the episode with emo Wolverine sharing all of his emotions and feelings with Professor X. That was fun. But I got questions. Like we talked about plot holes, and what about a few of these? You already mentioned one, getting on a plane with metal running through your body. But did you notice he only took one carry-on with him to Japan? He had a backpack. That was it. How did he fit everything he needed there? Now, granted, he didn't need many shirts, because if you notice in the episode, that dude's shirt is off more than it's on. But one bag to Japan doesn't make sense. And then second of all, well, there's three things here. Second of all, there's this girl who's from Japan. She's there, and at the end of the episode, they kiss. It's like, where did this come from? Like, none of this was talked about. This wasn't even a plot throughout the episode. Not that it has to be. I mean, I know it's like a 30-minute episode. I get it, but anywhere. Third thing, it was the most anticlimactic fight of a bad guy. He ripped his ribbons, and then you see Silver Samurai just kind of like tugged his head and walked away. I was like, "Oh, you got me!" Like, that was the worst. It was so dumb. I didn't get it. Like, there was more of a fight with his biker gang lackeys than there was with Silver Samurai.
And look, I kind of thought about that, Andy, when it happened. I was like, wait,
what?
This is what they thought would be a good movie for Wolverine, was this guy? This guy
walked away.
Kind of a joke.
Well, admittedly, I believe this episode and the Wolverine are based on the same comic book series, or series of books that dealt with Wolverine in Japan. So I guarantee you the comic books for this was probably a little more graphic.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Show
a little
would
bit.
allow.
But you could have given me something.
This is another show where nobody dies. They just get destroyed.
We transported into season 4, episode 15, right? And then you just kind of like felt like, okay, this is weird.
And then Jubilee. This is a fourth point. Jubilee just shows up once everything's done. She pretty much. She
It doesn't
shows
do
up
anything.
And she's
Exactly.
like, all right,
Yeah.
well, let's go back to America now. You did nothing.
I'm coming to save you, and she didn't even do
You did
anything.
nothing.
Yeah.
She helps that one couple.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
just
that
one
was
little
it.
sparkle. That's about it.
She was talking to the locals like, Wolverine. He's here.
He's
Like-
with that Oku guy.
Yeah, right.
This is so funny. But yeah, anyway.
Never calls him Logan. Ironically, if she'd have called him Logan, they'd have said, "Oh, he's right up the road
Yeah,
here."
Logan's son.
Introduced himself as Wolverine
Yeah.
to these. He's Logan's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't even know he's got claws.
You're right.
One thing that kind of bugged me on this, because I have watched a lot of anime and tokusatsu, is obviously, well, they kind of made this look like it was 1960s era Japan, not 1990s. Because I mean, it's like a third world little village off in the little corner of nowhere, and I'm like, you know, I've watched a lot of this kind of stuff. I don't think that exists in Japan at all anymore. But at the very least, I was kind of letting it go because I'm thinking, okay, this biker gang is probably like Yakuza or something, and they obviously can't call them Yakuza because this is a kid's show, and you don't even mention the mob, much less a cutthroat organization like the Yakuza. But it was just really strange. It felt like I was watching Seven Samurai more than I was X-Men in this, except there was only one samurai and his name was Logan. But yeah, I mean, this was like y'all said, the fight was anticlimactic. I'm still trying to figure out why they built an entire dam and filled it behind with lake water just to go with this guys. And none of these biker gang guys noticed this. What?
Wait, first off, they built that dam overnight or something?
Yeah, and because you can see them in the earlier shot putting down one of those
a pylon.
A pylon down in there. I'm going, did y'all just build that today? And it's already backed all the way up full of water. Oh, it does not
where'd the
work
water
like
go on the
that.
other side with no other
The same
stuff?
people,
Like,
the same people who have been building a temple for years. Like who
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Logan
Oh
brought that
they
up. Oh,
can
you still
build
not
a
done?
dam in a night.
Yeah, and there's another thing. Be like they're constructing this, temple throughout the entire episode. It gets burned to the ground. Next episode,
It's already
opened up.
halfway rebuilt.
It's already halfway rebuilt. Did Wolverine go hyperdrive and be like, it's like,
Well, I mean, he could.
I had
could
Wolverine
see
there
him
cutting with his claws. That's what happened.
I could
They
see him
didn't have
cutting all
Wolverine
those
earlier.
trees down, because I could see that actually being the slow point of this building. It's not putting the logs on top of each other and sculpting and all that. No, it's getting people to go out there with probably a little rinky-dink little saw that's been rusted for 30 years, trying to cut all these trees down, and Wolverine just goes out there and goes shink, 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 shink. Okay, there you go. There's enough for your palace or your temple.
yeah, he's a personal sawmill.
He could be.
Sure.
He very easily could be.
Yes.
What are your thoughts, Jacob?
My thoughts, kind of the same way. It's kind of a kooky story, and again, we get more Wolverine, which is like everybody's favorite character.
Especially since we have not had much Wolverine since season 2.
That is true. That is so true. And the next episode we get even more.
Yeah.
There again would be like not throwing shade on Storm, but oh my gosh, how much more backstory do we need on this character?
We
But
got
nuance.
we got backstory on her. All I found out was that she was claustrophobic,
That is true.
and apparently in that one episode she was white.
Oh my gosh, you're not kidding. Go back and watch earlier episodes of X.
There's an early episode where they're doing the same flashback from the episode before, but they reanimated it and didn't color her the right skin color.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. But anyways, it's enjoyable for what it is. Be like, you get Jubilee. It's like, oh, I'm so worried about Wolverine. I'm going to fly to Japan in this little jet.
Which apparently she knows how to fly.
Yeah, which in other episodes, she's so terrible at flying these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's not doing a good job at the beginning of this episode.
That is true. That is true. But like, it's an enjoyable episode. There again, what you guys brought up with the anticlimactic villain. It's like, oh, Silver Samurai. He's supposed to be this big bad guy, but like once his little minions get defeated, he falls over, like a puppy, just rolls over and shows his belly. I'm done. It's like, oh, my tether got cut. Oh well, I'm done.
I feel like the point of that was, and this is just me playing devil's advocate. The point of that was he has been dishonored. He can never show his face anywhere again.
He hasn't shown his face anyway.
And I'm still looking at going, I don't care if this is a matter of honor. You fight this guy, Wolverine, and kick his tail. Because that's what I came to watch. But anyway.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts before we jump to the next episode?
Nope.
No, I have even more thoughts of the next episode.
All right. Next one, we got Weapon X, Lies, and Videotape, which originally aired on June 11th, 1995, as the last episode of season 3.
Yeah.
It was directed by Larry Houston and written by Stephen Melching and Dave Dermott. In this episode, Wolverine discovers everything about his past life in the government program Weapon X was a lie, including his love affair with Silver Fox. Guest cast for this includes Don Franks once again as Sabretooth and Shannon Lawson as Silver Fox. Trivia for this: the symbol on Silver Fox's flying vehicle and costume, a skull with tentacles, is the emblem of the supervillain organization Hydra.
That's right.
This implies that Silver Fox is now a member of Hydra.
Hell Hydra?
Yes, Hell Hydra. In the comics, Weapon X is the secret government program comprised of Wolverine and other mutants. The term Weapon X is never mentioned in the episode, only in the title. This episode is based on the Wolverine comics number 48 and 50 and 61 through 64. And the robot is named Talos after a Greek myth where the god Zeus created an automaton. And there is a cameo by Omega Red. And there is a goof in this episode about halfway through it where Wolverine and Sabretooth are talking to each other and the wrong voices are coming out of the wrong mouths.
Yes. Oh, that was
Which
hilarious.
made me laugh out loud when I saw it because they haven't messed up like that in a while. So, yeah. Sorry, Kirk, what are your thoughts on this episode? You said you had a couple.
Yeah, I was a little upset with this one. You kind of nailed it when you said the guest appearance. I thought we were going to go Omega Red for quite a bit in that one scene, and he was gone before he was even on there.
Yeah,
and I've always liked that character. The story was, I don't know, it was kind of convoluted for me. The going back and forth with the flashbacks, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I couldn't figure out if Sabretooth was really there or if he was in the dream or if he was there or not there or what was going on with that situation. And then all of a sudden, Sabretooth are fighting and now they're best friends. And oh, are they going to announce that they're actually related? Nope, they didn't announce that they were related, but they kind of alluded to that they were related. But we're not going to tell you that they were going to do. Like, there were so many kind of things. I felt like I was watching Warriors of Virtue again because I was like, there are so many holes that are happening in this freaking episode. And then I was like, but so there was this one scene. Silver Fox looked like she was like 75 years old. And I was like, why is she look so old and wrinkly? And then like the next scene, she looked like young and hot again. And I was like, what happened with the animation for that one cell or whatever they were doing right there? And I picked up on the voices too. Now I didn't realize that they were coming out the wrong way, but I was like, man, Wolverine just kind of sounds off. He just sounded a little different. There was a time where I felt like he sounded like Splinter from Ninja Turtle. I was like, and then I thought about it. I was like, oh, he's not supposed to sound like that. But yeah, it's just a weird episode. And then the bad guy, how easy was that bad guy? I mean, like, whap, he came out again. Whap, you're gone again. I was like, this is the guy who's supposed to bring him back. He threw a blanket or whatever over him. It's like putting a fire out.
Yeah.
Good night, you're gone. But yeah, it was lackluster.
So
like, I love this show. This is one of the first shows I ever used the VCR to record. The 2 episodes I got. Now wait, I'll add this because I don't think we're gonna say it. I even watched the next episode that is online to try and see if I could fill out some backstory, and it goes a whole different place. It's not even close to what's going on. So I was like,
that's been the thing since like
oh my
midway through
goodness,
season
I wanted to know.
3.
Yeah.
Because it's weird because both these 2 episodes and the ones we did last week were connected to each other, but they're not connected to anything else. And every episode since like after the Dark Phoenix saga has been, here's a random episode that kind of connects everything, but we've given up continuity.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you this, to be fair, 10-year-old me could care less about continuity.
Oh, I can tell you I didn't care at this time either.
I had no idea. It was just, this is the episode that's on today.
Yeah.
I
actually
but looking back, it's
remember-
like, man, I wish I knew what was happening.
Yeah, I actually remember watching this episode when I was a kid, but I don't remember anything after they opened the door.
You know what? It's funny. You guys talked about the airplane. One thing that I thought was funny was it just was a funny scene. Was him driving that car?
Yeah,
and I'm like, Wolverine doesn't seem like someone who would drive that car.
Especially since I thought this was funny. It was a Lotus.
Yeah,
and we just got done watching the Lotus and the Steel. It's like I know because of how the order these episodes were made in, a complete coincidence, but that is kind of funny.
It kind of reminds me of the movie Twilight, where not kidding, my brother and his now divorced wife, they were dating at the time, and so they wanted to go see Twilight because his ex was a huge vampire fan. Watching this film, absolutely atrocious, and he literally stands in the middle of the film where I think it's in where be like some point where it's just like, you know, the main good guy, the main good vampire, Edward, be like drives up in a Volvo. I'm like, wait a minute, you're driving a what? You're driving a Volvo? Really? He literally stood up like, what? No, he's like, no, he's gonna be a cool character. He's driving a Volvo. What?
Farfanugan.
Yeah.
So this episode, so I'm glad you mentioned that they're out of order because I assumed that, but my first
because we are following. We are following this in the order Disney Plus gave it to us in,
sure.
which is not the original order they were made in. This is supposed to be in the chronological order the episodes take place in.
Okay. Well, because my first thought is, as soon as the opening scene happened, was, well, that trip to Japan did no good. Like well, that was for nothing. That was for nothing. Because he's freaking out again, and now it's just the same episode, but he's going to Canada with Beast instead of Japan with Jubilee.
Yeah.
Like it's literally the same thing's happening. But so it was weird. Like Kirk had said, it was very like, okay, I got to think. This is where we're at now. This is the thought. Like it took a lot more, and it seemed kind of like piece part, whatever. But man, the one thing that stuck out to me in this episode, and I can't get my head out of it, was Talos, man, and his nipple missiles. Like it flapped open, and it was just, and it happened like twice.
A la Austin Powers.
Yes. I'm like, they knew that, designing that. I mean, there was some guy sitting in there, and they were like, Kirk, you're on animation for Talos. Oh yeah, all right, I got it. Funny story, dude. It was so weird, man. And then the fact that Beast like just had to throw them all in the back of the truck at the end was super weird too. Like, well, let me pick them up and throw them in there, and then I'm gonna throw a bomb back at them. It was so weird. It was just I don't know. I didn't know what to think about that. Like the previous episode, the Lotus and the Steel was kind of clear cut. Like there was obviously things that we mentioned about it that or whatever. It was very easy to follow. This one was like, what is happening? But yeah. So that's my thoughts.
And that just goes to show you that there's only one villain that is worthy of the X-Men's time.
I am Magneto, master of Magnet.
I have to find an excuse to play that every episode during this. But I do remember watching this episode as a kid. But like I said, I don't remember anything after they opened the door, and I could have sworn it was Lady Deathstrike that was there, not Silver Fox.
See that?
because I swear that's just what I remember. But
that's what you dreamed. But
that
your
was
dreams
back in
weren't real.
'95. I was 10 years old, so whichever. I think Lady Deathstrike was definitely a lot better looking, but this episode, I did like this episode to some degree. It is convoluted in its storytelling.
Yes.
This is, in my mind, this was the episode where they actually explained how the Weapon X thing happened, and yet that was an earlier episode. So this one does kind of feel a little superfluous, but it was nice seeing Sabretooth not being a full enemy this time.
True.
And actually being a thinking and reasoning person and not just a animal, which is really interesting considering last week when we learned that he learned the very strange tale of how he and
Kirk.
No, not Kirk. He's not related to Kirk. He's how he had relations with Mystique. I was like, and that somehow turned into a human that resulted in a human being who hated mutants worse than anything.
Yes.
And I'm sitting here watching, going, in this backstory, this convoluted backstory you're producing for these people among Weapon X, where did he have time to go off and hang out with Mystique for a while?
Sure.
Because this is about the time he would have had to have been hanging out over there for Creed Jr. to be the age he is now. So that was a weird question going through my mind. I still like the idea that they don't, even at the end, they don't know how much of their memories is planted by this brainwashing and how much is real, because we do get the feeling that there was a time when Wolverine and Silver Fox really were dating, but that was before Weapon X, because otherwise how would they have had the same cabin there?
True.
But or same
I thought that was kind of a weird way to end it at the end.
Yeah.
Wolverine's like, hey, there really was a time. Let me tell you about this thing that's in the door. It wasn't in this door. And she totally dissed him, was like, that was another time. Peace out.
Well, I mean, Wolverine can't have a love life, unfortunately. Because he's tried so many times.
Yeah.
That he's got to be the lone wolf. So I enjoyed this episode. Like I said, it was fun. But I mean, I am getting ready after we've been doing this since January.
Yes.
1st. I am ready to wrap X-Men up, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not enjoying the show, but it's like the longer we've gone on, the stranger the storytelling in this has gotten, where it's just random episodes.
Well, I'm not on next week, and I watched the next one, and it's fun.
The one that's interesting you say that, because next week we unintentionally are doing a Christmas special.
Oh gosh, yes.
Because we're going to be doing Norm of the North for the movie, and then we're going to have a Morlock Little Christmas.
Oh god.
For the X-Men episode. So yeah. Christmas in September.
Yes.
Threw me off big time. It was a Christmas episode.
Right. Jacob, what are your thoughts on this episode?
My thoughts there can be like, I remember this episode so well. I don't have I'm swapping Fox for not Mystique, but Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike. So you're doing that too.
Well, no. Be like, I be like, I remember clearly, be like, it was Silver Fox. I pretty clearly remember this episode so well, so vividly in my mind from my childhood. But it's like, yeah, it's a little convoluted of a story, but there again, these are just be like, let's push them out. They're fun. They're little adventures.
And you can tell we're getting to the point where Saban was just like, we need to get these episodes out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're not far from the season where they switched animation companies to make the show even cheaper.
Dear Lord.
So
that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for our listening audience and our visual audience right now, because there again, once we get done with X-Men, we're going into
Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Yeah. That's gonna be a fun ride.
It's going to be a bit of a whiplash too, effect.
Just a little bit.
So, are you guys just going to stop, or are you going to go all the way through it?
We're finishing X-Men,
finishing it,
and that's going to
So you have
finish.
quite a bit left, though, right?
Well, okay, so there is a season and a half left, and that's going to finish up about halfway through Miyazaki month, is where that timing hits. And then the last thing we're doing for X-Men is the original pilot, Pride of the X-Men, to finish out in November.
Yes!
And then starting in December, we're starting Evangelion.
Dude, Pride of the X-Men. Geek
Which actually, that's the first time we've announced that.
Whatever.
So.
They did a review on that one, and I had that on VHS and remember watching that with Colossus and the Blob and Toad, and just
That's made its viewing on the Rushmore before.
I love that.
So yeah, that's the plan on that.
Yep.
But we're not very far because season 5 was like only 10 episodes total.
Yeah.
So it's not going to take us that long to get through it.
Yeah.
And we're almost done with season 4. So
yeah,
and we've just technically finished season 3 today. So
all I can say is, like, when we get into Evangelion and get towards the end of the season, all I can say is I cannot wait for a certain AV unit to pop a certain character's head, because I despise that character.
I'm not looking forward to when you make me watch the final film.
Oh crap! Yeah,
because that's going to be a lot of orange juice.
Yeah, it'd be like if you've ever watched End of Evangelion. Oh my gosh, it's a trip.
Either way, y'all have anything else to add before we cut out of here?
Do we have anything to add? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you for asking us to be on, man. Really super appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say thanks as well, and thanks for coming on our show. Not about a month ago, but yeah, the connection with Culture Box. We just love being here. We appreciate it, and yeah, I hope to come back again.
All right. Well, why don't y'all tell us where we can find y'all, and then afterwards we'll cut out of here. Whoever wants to do it.
I'm going to mirror myself. You can find us on YouTube. We are on youtube.com/The Rushmore Show. We're on Instagram and Facebook. We have a Facebook group too, where we have some community chat and stuff, but primarily YouTube. Every Monday at 9 a.m. Central, we put a new episode out. We just got back from a convention, Louisiana RetroCon. Had a blast with that. That's what Kirk's wearing on his hat right now. And we've got, I don't know, about 15, 20 shorts that are in the can right now to be released. And so we'll be releasing a lot of content over the next couple weeks from that. We've got another convention that's coming up too that's on his shirt. So we just have a blast going to those, connecting with people. But yeah, check us out on YouTube.
Nice.
All right. D-Lit, will you mark me right quick? I forgot. I nearly forgot because y'all are new to guesting on the show. When we come to the end of this, I'm going to say, in the meantime, this is Drew. He'll say, this is Jacob. Then one of y'all will say your name and the other says the other. And then I'll end with our cutout. So just want to make sure I tell you that before I go, and it's your turn.
So you're going to go Drew, Jacob,
and then
Andy?
Yeah, we can do Kirk and Andy. That'll work. Yeah. Whichever. I am flexible.
Is it Kirk and Andy?
Well, Kirk says this is Kirk, and then Andy says this is Andy.
Yeah.
Basically.
What if I say that is Kirk and he says that is Andy? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, if y'all want to do that,
I'm just kidding.
Confuse people? Oh yeah, definitely.
That's nothing new on this show.
No.
All right, let me come back. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for us today, guys. So join us next week for apparently a Christmas episode of the Cellcast. Yay. Long away from December.
Yes.
But in the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
This is Kirk.
And this is Andy.
And we'll catch you in the next frame. D-Lit, you got so close.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day.
I try, but I fail.
His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. and his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page Drew's Photobin to see his photography. His letterboxd page at ggeorge759.
I'll update that one day.
His Twitter at ggeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
So, are they Mighty Morphin Ranger Roos or Teenage Mutant Karate Kangas?
Who knows?
Ranger Roos. Ranger Roos sounds fun.
Ranger Roos.
Yeah, we'll stick with that then.
Yeah.